Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 19 of Halftime Sports Talk Show. I'm your host, Reese Kinder, and today we got a big one lined up for y'all. The week one of the college football season has begun. Everybody's already played their games, and also AP Top 25 did come out today, and we're going to be breaking down that along with the NFL season coming up this Thursday between the Eagles and Cowboys. We'll be highlighting all that on episode 19 of the Halftime Sports Talk Show. Right into our first segment here where we are going to be recapping week one of the college football season, and let's get right into it. And obviously we know obviously it's glad to be back. First off, just really glad to be back here. Last week we took the week off because we wanted to get wanted to get ready for what could have possibly happened, and I'm glad I took the week off because I mean this past weekend was amazing. Like, it was a great week. We had some absolute fireworks, and honestly, we're gonna start with the first game on Thursday night. It is actually the USF and Boise game. USF, playing at home. This is a game a lot of people honestly predicted to be an upset. I think we did 2 weeks ago with Chandler from Atlas Sports. We predicted that could possibly be an upset. Even Chandler said that, and I think it was definitely not surprising that Boise State was going to do this bad, but I thought it was going to be a little closer than this. But yeah, South Florida. I mean, it was a crazy matchup. First off, 34-7 at home, and just a great game by Byron Brown, who's a leader on this South Florida team. And yeah, you saw that South Florida was just able to run the ball efficiently with him. The defense looked very solid. So the South Florida team, in my opinion, I don't know if nobody really follows the X that we have on Halftime Sports, but so I posted right after he scored that first touchdown. I was like, is USF a legit Group of 5 contender? Because they looked really solid in that game, and I do want to talk about that really quick. I think USF is a contender in my opinion because, the schedule, obviously, you got to play Florida this upcoming week, and then you play Miami the next week. Both teams looked good in their debuts. And South Florida's going to have a tough road, but if they can only lose those 2 games and win out in the American, I don't know. They possibly could be a contender in the college football playoff, in my opinion. It's either them or Tulane as a Group of 5 that could possibly do really well, but South Florida did shine in that game. Not really much to talk about there because, they just blew out Boise State. Just the fact that they upset them was really crazy. But moving on from the South Florida and Boise State game, I want to go right into the Nebraska and Cincinnati game. We were all hoping Dylan Raiola did really good, and he did. Raiola threw for 243 yards, and then, Nebraska's running back Emmett Johnson had 108 rushing yards. So this Nebraska team, you look right at this matchup. You're like, oh, well, they only won by 3 points, but Cincinnati was not a bad team. Brendan Sornsby, we talked about this 2 weeks ago. Brendan Sornsby's not a bad quarterback. Cincinnati has some experience on this team, and it definitely showed against Nebraska. Cincinnati's defense was able to force a turnover. And it was a really good game in Arrowhead Stadium, but Nebraska did they dominated on defense. And offensive-wise, they couldn't really move the ball, but they were able to at the end of the game, which really helped them. But I do see, that's one thing, I do see Nebraska in the future being a possible Big Ten contender if things continue to go their way in conference play and also just out of conference play. They have the game against Akron this weekend, so I expect them to win that and have a 2-0 start. But good start for Matt Rule and the boys there in Nebraska. But gonna go to one of probably the biggest game that we said could definitely be meaning something early on in the season, and it definitely did not disappoint. It's Auburn and Baylor. Auburn had a big, physical win against Baylor. The defense didn't really, a lot of people were like, the defense didn't show up, the defense didn't look good. The defense didn't look good. I will say that. But to a standard, the defense was good enough to get Auburn the win. And I think that's all that matters right now. I think you're going to have, obviously, in fall camp, Auburn didn't go as hard on their offense as most teams would. And I think that really hurt too because like if they would have been able to like tackle more, they wouldn't have missed that many tackles in the Baylor game. And you know, that's why I think Baylor was able to, miss tackles and just get big plays like that. I think if Auburn would have been doing full pads, like full tackling in fall camp, I think that would have definitely contributed to, the defense playing a little bit better. But the defense did impress me overall. In my opinion, the defensive line was really good. The linebackers were really good. The cornerbacks need some work, but that's something you can work on in practice this upcoming week, or actually this week right now. Um, and yeah, the defense did not really disappoint me. It was kind of just a mediocre rating for them. I give them a 5 out of 10. It was in the middle for me. But what really impressed me was the offense. That was the question, was like, can Hugh Freeze and the offense do something here in this first game to impress people? And they sure did. I mean, Jackson Arnold looked like an incredible runner out there. I mean, he did not pass the ball much. I know people are mad about that. They're like, well, he didn't pass the ball a lot. But you got to think about this. Baylor was playing to pass. They wanted Auburn to pass the ball so Auburn could throw interceptions or just it wouldn't be complete or anything. Jackson Arnold would have a tough time. He would lose momentum. But Jackson Arnold did the perfect thing. He did the right thing. He waited in the pocket, couldn't find a man open, would run up the middle. And you saw, I mean, 137 rushing yards. Great game by Jackson Arnold. The rushing game overall they had 300 rushing yards, Auburn did. And I was just really pleased with the way Arnold played in the whole entire game. That first drive looked very scary. It looked like Auburn was the same old Auburn, but then after that, Jackson Arnold just completely took over the game and found a way to get Auburn the win here on the road. And obviously, Auburn's going to play Ball State next week, so they should get a win there. And we'll talk about it later from the AP poll, but I'll be interested to see where they fall next week when the Week 3 AP poll comes out. And talk about Baylor. Baylor, I was really pleased as well. The defense, I kind of figured that. The defense is a Big 12 defense. They don't play defense in that conference. They never have. I don't think they ever will. But Baylor, I mean, had a solid early statement, in that game. They drove down really quick, got a field goal, and then they stopped Auburn, got the ball back. Looked like they were going to score, go up 10-0, but Auburn's defense was able to stop them. But Sawyer Robinson threw for 419 yards. That was a really good game by Sawyer Robinson. And, I mean, going into that game, I already knew he was a good quarterback, but he made himself look way better in that game with 419 passing yards. And I legitimately think, like Chandler said 2 weeks ago, Baylor probably is a Big 12 contender the way they played against Auburn. And Auburn's an SEC school, so Baylor did pretty well to only lose by 14 points to an SEC school. So, I mean, that was a really good game Friday night, and I was really pleased to see the Tigers come up with a win, even though I am an Auburn fan. So I was really, really glad to see that. But yeah, Auburn takes a win 38-24 with Jackson Arnold's huge run game, and I'll be interested to see what both these teams. Baylor's got SMU next week, so that's another tough game for them at SMU. But can Baylor bounce back? That's the question we have to wait for this upcoming week, and we're definitely going to highlight that in Week 2 preview. But going on to the next game, I could have told. I was saying this last week. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I think there's going to be a huge upset, and I said it was going to be Alabama, Florida State. I know Chandler came on 2 weeks ago and was like, I think Alabama's a really good team, blah, blah, blah. I never thought they were a good team. Alabama just has so many lingering problems from last year when DeBoer took over the first year. Like, they have problems with the O-line. I mean, you saw that in the Florida State game. The O-line they're supposedly really good. I mean, they are really good, but they were terrible. The receivers, I mean, in my opinion, Ryan Williams is the most overrated wide receiver in college football. I mean, he has the name and everything, but he didn't even catch. This is his 10th straight game with less than 100 receiving yards for Alabama. And yeah, the last 100 receiving yard game was Georgia last year. So in my opinion, Ryan Williams is the most overrated wide receiver in college football. Um, and yeah, I mean Florida State. That was that was not just a win like you were gonna barely win the game towards the end. I mean Florida State. Thomas Castellanos came in there and they just dominated Alabama. And Gus Malzahn, the offensive coordinator for Florida State, he did a great job. We've seen some of this at Auburn. He did those double jet sweep passes, and it worked to perfection. I mean, those were some great plays Gus Malzahn drew up, and that was a really solid showing from Florida State. Now, do I think Florida State keeps this up? I don't know yet. I'm gonna have to give them a few more games, but it was definitely something. It was an eye catcher, I would say for sure. Florida State like definitely put the college football world on notice, and I I think Florida State might be back. I'm not going to say it yet, but we'll give it a few weeks, and I'll say they're back. But just going back to the Alabama standpoint of things, like this Alabama team is so bad that I have them losing 4 to 5 games now. Now, some people are like, no, they'll bounce back. I no. Ty Simpson is a terrible quarterback. I mean, you saw him on Saturday. He was struggling to get out of the pocket against ACC defensive linemen who aren't really they're not the same level as like an offensive lineman from the SEC or a defensive lineman from the SEC. They're less than that, and I think Alabama's definitely going to have some problems moving forward with leadership and just winning. I think Georgia week 4 they will lose. They'll drop that. I feel like they'll drop LSU at home. I feel like they could probably drop Auburn away. There's some other games on their schedule that are definitely favorable to lose, and I wouldn't be surprised if Alabama does. But yeah, horrible showing this weekend from the Crimson Tide, but great job by Florida State to get the upset. And actually, we will highlight later where they moved up in the AP poll. And other other headlines from this weekend: Arch Manning, Texas, got destroyed. I mean, that was a great game though. I mean, it was a great game. I loved it. I mean, it was definitely one of those where you're like you're just sitting there for a second. You're like, oh well, this game's just going to be. It's not going to be a blowout. Nobody's going to win by 2 or 3 scores. It's going to be close, hard nosed football till the end, and it was. I mean, Ohio State, Julian Sayin, didn't play the best game, but Ohio State's defense under Matt Patricia, I mean, that was great. They had a great showing. Arch Manning's only good pass was the 32-yard touchdown pass in the fourth quarter, and that's all about. That's just about what Texas was able to get off of that. And yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say Texas looks bad yet. I'm going to give it a few games. I think Texas definitely will regroup. You saw Sarkisian's interview at the end of the game. He was like, yeah, like you saw he wasn't as panicked as Texas fans are because we heard Texas fans are like, oh, this is 2010 again. Um, but yeah, I mean, he's not as panicked because I think he knows it's like it was if they lose, then you're still like in that college football playoff position because they're still undefeated in conference play. So that's definitely something like Texas moving forward will fix, I'm sure. And Texas looked okay, but definitely needs a lot of fixing on the offense. I think the defense was great though, but the offense needs a lot of fixing for sure. And Ohio State, I mean, like I said, the QB situation, Julian Saint's gonna continue to get more and more reps out there against smaller schools before conference play starts in the Big Ten, and I think Julian Saint's gonna figure out a way to become a pretty good quarterback in the Big Ten in year 1 as a true freshman. And now moving on from the State and Texas game, um, Clemson and LSU. That one did not disappoint either. I will say though, um, like immediately going into this game, I thought Clemson was going to win by a lot, but Kate Klubnik and Clemson's offense did not move the ball well at all. I mean, that was they definitely have some questions to answer after stumbling early on in that game in the first game of the season too. I mean, Clemson looked like they could be a legit title contender going into the season. I had them going 12-0, winning the ACC and making it all the way to Atlanta for the national championship, but Cade Klubnik just did not show up for the Tigers, and yeah, definitely some regrouping they're gonna have to do after this past weekend against LSU because I mean Clemson, it just the defense for LSU was good and Clemson just could not move the ball at all. I mean, like it was they have so many weapons on that team and it's just very hard for me to see how they were that bad in the game. But yeah, I think Clemson will get it together, but their schedule is pretty easy, so I feel like they'll be able to get it together. And on the LSU standpoint of things, I mean, good job, Brian Kelly, getting LSU a win. Like one of their, it's been a long time since they've got a like win to open the season. I mean, it's been a while. The streak finally ends though, but yeah, I was really glad to see that LSU got a big win. Actually, we'll talk about it here in a minute with the AP poll, where they stand in the AP poll and what are the thoughts on that. But yeah, I definitely think LSU has solidified themselves as a title contender this year, and they look like a very dominant physical team. Kind of reminds me of the LSU's that we've seen in the past that haven't really stumbled in many games. They've been able to get the job done, figure things out early on in the season, and continue to do that throughout the season. But yes, the last game I want to highlight for Week 1 is Notre Dame. Notre Dame and Miami. I was really surprised at this matchup. I thought Notre Dame. I even told this to one of my friends. I was like, I think Notre Dame's gonna blow them out. I was like Notre Dame's just so good. I don't even know, or like they're just really good. Even though they have a true freshman quarterback, I was like Notre Dame's just gonna easily win this game. And no, I mean Carson Beck surprised me a lot. I mean he just looked really composed out there. Like he was throwing passes that were just like insane, and then that unreal one-handed catch in the game. I mean, that was insane. And Miami, I mean, you got to be proud that first week. Miami's already up to number 5, I believe, in the poll. So I mean, this Miami team looks pretty scary this year with Carson Beck. I mean, they great job replacing Cam Ward, I think, in my opinion, and Carson Beck's definitely gonna hopefully fill the shoes for Cam Ward and be able to maybe get Miami to their first college football playoff appearance in it's been a long time since Miami's been to the national championship or anything like that. But we're gonna move on from week one. Week one, reminded us that college football never fails to deliver drama. That was a outstanding week one. I was just so pleased to see college football's back now. It just brings a different type of feeling to you. It's just like you're always excited every weekend. You're like there's game after game after game that's just so good. And yeah, I just can't wait for this upcoming weekend, week 2. Going to be in game day, going to be in Norman, Oklahoma. Really excited to see how that goes with Michigan and Oklahoma for sure, with John Mateer going against Bryce Underwood. But going to move on from college football week 1 recap, and now we're going to move into the AP poll reactions. The AP poll, came out at 1 o'clock today, and we're gonna dive right into this poll. I mean, this poll, brand new poll. Obviously, Ohio State is your number 1, Penn State's number 2. I just want to talk about like LSU number 3. I mean, a lot of people were like, well, LSU doesn't deserve to be number 3 because Georgia should be ahead of them because Georgia beat Marshall. LSU, I mean, should be as high as 2 in my opinion. LSU looked like a legit title contender, like I said. They moved up 6 spots, and then Miami behind them at Miami's 2 spots behind them at 5. And they moved up 5 spots from 10th. So I mean, both big jumps in the top 10, and then the big fallers. I was surprised. I was surprised that Texas fell from 1 to 7, but I guess since they played so bad on offense, I guess you have to put them that far back. And then Clemson fell 4, and then Notre Dame fell 3, and for some reason South Carolina went up 2. That was something I didn't mention in the week 1 recap. Is South Carolina only beat Virginia Tech 24-11. That was not a good showing by the Gamecocks. Definitely, to say they're going to make it to Atlanta for the SEC championship, I gotta just wait for a little bit to decide if they're going to be a contender this year, because South Carolina looked like horrendous in that first game against Virginia Tech. They were just somehow able to find a way to win, and it definitely I guess the voters just kind of put them up there. They moved them up 3 spots for winning against Virginia Tech. But the teams I'm here to highlight right now, obviously Florida State. Florida State, beat Alabama. They made that huge jump up into the top 25. They went from not ranked to 20 or not ranked to 14th. And honestly, if I'm going to say it's a little bit of a stretch, a little bit of a stretch. We know they went 2-10 last year, played terrible. I I'd say put them in the rankings. But if you're going to put them in the rankings, I would probably have moved them back somewhere in about 20th or something like that. If you guys didn't see on the Instagram, I made my own top 25 and had Florida State probably about 20th, 21st, like in that range, and uh they were just all the way back there. So yeah, I don't see them being as high as 14, but I could be wrong. Maybe they're a top 10 team and we just don't know it yet, and everybody underestimated them. But Florida State at 14, I say the AP writers kind of went a little too far with that one. Um, and then obviously Iowa State jumped up 6 spots for beating Kansas State in Ireland, week 0. That was a huge win for Iowa State. And then a big fall in the rankings is obviously Alabama. In my opinion, okay, this is like, in my personal opinion, I think Alabama probably should have been out of the AP poll. They just didn't look like they wanted to be there when they were playing Florida State, and I think that deserves like punishment, and they should definitely be, I think, out of the AP poll. And if they win a few games, say they beat Georgia, then you put them back in the AP poll. But until then, I feel like they should be snubbed out after losing to a Florida State team who went 2-10 last season and was not a very good team. And then the last team I want to highlight on this AP poll is obviously this one's gonna be short because there's just not much to talk about with the AP poll. What I want to highlight from this, or like what team I want to highlight, is the last ranked team is Utah. They're 25th. They were previously not ranked, but if you guys didn't catch it, Saturday night, late at night. I mean, this was a late game. Um, Utah actually beat. Gosh, they destroyed UCLA. I mean, that was horrendous. That was a terrible game. I thought it was gonna be closer than that because Nico Imaliava was the quarterback, but that game was horrible. I mean, 43-10. Utah. Devin Dampier played a great game, and I mean, this Utah team legit. I mean, I've seen headlines already today that's like, can Utah compete for a Big 12 title? I think they can as well. I mean, this Utah team showed me that they're a solid program, and it looks like they're going to be a contender, like a legit contender this upcoming season. And I'm really excited to see Utah. Utah last year had their struggles, but I think this year Devin Dampier might be able to get them back to where they were before the Cam Rising days last year. And I'm definitely interested to see how this Utah team moves forward after a huge win like this. And then obviously other receiving votes: BYU, Auburn, Georgia Tech, USC, Louisville, TCU, and Missouri, South Florida. All those teams were mentioned there. Auburn, okay, so this is my opinion. I personally think, this is just Auburn bias, I personally think that Auburn should be in the AP poll because they beat a top tier Baylor team that has played some good football as of late. And I just feel like Utah beating UCLA might have been a little bit like, you know, could have been Auburn at 25. Utah could have been at like 26. You could have put Utah, or you could have put both of them in there. I feel like Auburn deserved a ranking spot, but obviously the writers haven't ranked them yet. But I mean, moving to week 2 next week, I mean, I think Auburn, if they beat Ball State, then we'll probably get in the rankings if people lose, especially with some ranked matchups coming up this upcoming weekend. But yeah, really, I mean, that kind of highlights the AP poll. That's really all I wanted to talk about because it wasn't much at this week because we didn't have as many first ranked matchups. We had about 3 or 4, but yeah, definitely want to look out for next week for the new AP poll. But yeah, I'm excited. We got to get our first AP poll of the college football season. That like our first actual one after people have won and lost. But yeah, really excited to see what next week brings. And actually, speaking of next week, we are going to move into next week's schedule. We're going to move into the big matchups for next week. And starting on Saturday, we have a big matchup at 11 a.m. It is Duke and Illinois. And actually, guys, I'm going to start a new thing now. We are going to pick. We're going to do our picks. I'm going to post them out, and I'm going to predict them, and we're going to have records and everything like that. I mean, we're gonna do the whole shebang. We're going to do like ESPN stuff like that. So let's get it started here with our first game of this upcoming Saturday slate. It's a good game between two mid major or like mid tier teams in their conferences. It's Illinois, number 11 Illinois at Duke. I know most people are like, well, Duke beat Elon 45-24 on Thursday. I mean, that's not a big win at all. But this Duke team, I mean, the defense on Duke, great. Manny Diaz is a defensive guru. I just feel like this Duke team has something to play for, and it's at Duke. I mean, Duke's had a pretty tough environment the past few years, so Illinois coming fresh off of a win, huge win actually against Western Illinois. But yes, I'm personally gonna pick Illinois here, but I'm gonna say it's a close game. I'm gonna say Illinois wins their game. I'm gonna say 28-27. I'm gonna say Illinois wins because Duke misses an extra point. And yeah, I feel like this will be a very close game between these two squads, especially since it's an 11 a.m. game. It's early. I don't think there'll be much offense in the first half, but I think Duke and Illinois both will get it going in the second half for sure. And then, we have a lot of good games this Saturday coming up. And another one I want to highlight is the Cyhawk, um, the Cyhawk Trophy game. This game happens every year. I mean, Iowa and Iowa State. This is a classic. It's in Ames this year. I didn't really get a chance to watch Iowa what they did the first game, but I think this is gonna be close. Do I see upset potential? Yes, I do. But I feel like Rocco Becht is gonna have a great game plan. Like I feel like Iowa State's gonna have a great game plan for Rocco Becht to get the ball out. And I think the Cyclones are gonna get the trophy this year. I think they're gonna win in Ames. This is 11 a.m. on Fox, so this is a big game to start the 11 a.m. slate here for week 2 of college football. But I think Iowa State's gonna get the job done early in the morning for this second week of college football. And after we're still in the 11 a.m. games, guys. I mean, we got conference games this week. We got rivalries this week. I mean, it's just crazy. Now getting into another 11 a.m. game, Baylor and SMU. Baylor coming off the loss to Auburn. SMU, they beat East Texas Community College. I don't even know who they played, but Baylor, Sawyer Robinson looked solid. Kevin Jennings, I didn't really see the stat line on that game against East Texas A&M, but I feel like SMU's gonna be able to win this game. But Baylor, I mean, if their defense plays okay, this game could be close and Baylor could win it. If it's a close game, I have Baylor, but I'm gonna say it's another 2-touchdown game for Baylor and SMU takes this one. So far I've picked all the home teams to win. No, never mind. I have not. I don't know why I said that, but yes. I have SMU winning by 2 touchdowns in this game. So yeah, so far 3 picks. Let's hope we're right. And then we're gonna get into the 2:30 slate. And the first, there's 2 games I kind of want to highlight in the 2:30 slate. The first one is a conference game. We have an SEC game week 2. So this last year, we all know Ole Miss had like the chance of a lifetime to make the college football playoff last year, but Kentucky ruined it. The only reason I'm, wondering about this game is because the fact that this could be like a potential upset is because at Kentucky's fans for some odd reason show up to big games like this. And the line is sneaky too. Like if I was betting on this game, I would definitely not bet at all because Ole Miss is only a 10.5 point favorite, and I feel like that's going to go down as the week progresses because it's at Kentucky. Like I said, Kentucky's defense last week against Toledo looked solid. I thought Kentucky was going to lose that game to Toledo. But if Kentucky's offense can at least score 20 points, they might be able to pull off the upset against Ole Miss. And Ole Miss, I mean, did beat Georgia State, but this Ole Miss team this year coming in with a new quarterback, a new offense. So I'm gonna take Ole Miss here, but in a close one. I'm gonna say Ole Miss wins this one in a close one, and that game is on ABC at 2:30. So yes, I feel like this will be a big game between Ole Miss and Kentucky for sure to start conference play. But I got the Rebels winning this one away. And then the next 2:30 game is on ESPN2. This one's a rivalry. We're bringing back the old rivalry between Kansas and Missouri. I know everybody's like, well, Kansas sucked last year. I mean, they were terrible. I think Kansas this year could be a sneaky Big 12 contender if things go their way. And I think it starts here week 2 with Missouri. Kansas already played 2 games. They played week 0 and week 1, and they won both of them. They beat Wagner last Friday and then beat who was it? They beat Fresno State week 0. So yes, I I think this will be a good game. Bo Perbula and Sam Horn both looked pretty solid in their debuts for Missouri, but the 2 QB system doesn't really work sometimes, and I think this might be one of those games that it happens. So I'm gonna be I'm gonna be a little, I'm gonna go off the script here, and I'm gonna go with Kansas. I'm gonna say Kansas gets the win. I'm gonna consider this an upset because Missouri, you know, is a solid team. They were great last year with Luther Burton and Brady Cook, but this is a new Missouri team that we're looking at this year, and I think the Jayhawks are going to come in to Columbia and get the job done and figure out a way to win. So yeah, I'm going to take the Jayhawks in this one, winning this big game at 2:30. And the now we're going to like move to okay, so the comments are going to clown on me. This, I like, okay. The only reason I'm doing this game is because I think it has potential to possibly be an upset because it's just the nature of the matchup, like we saw last year, possibly, or like almost happened. It's South Florida and Florida. I know it's in Gainesville. It's in one of the loudest stadiums in college football. But if Byron Brown is able to run like he did against Boise State, Florida's going to have trouble with that. I mean, Florida played a high school team this past weekend, basically, and we haven't. I mean, we saw some highlights like Florida did good, but that's like against a terrible defense. How will they do against a South Florida defense who is very physical? They like to get in your head a lot. I mean, and also the quarterback's thing is like DJ Lagway. If he's not 100%, his hamstring's still bothering him a little bit. If he's not 100%, South Florida could be able to possibly walk into Ben Hill Griffin and pull off the upset. And if Florida loses this game, then Napier's hot seat just gets hotter. I mean, they were able last year to go 7-5, but they have a tough schedule this year. So, but I do think Florida will win this game, but I think it could possibly be closer than a lot of people think this matchup will be. But I have the Gators winning this one. And then, later on in the evening, we're gonna trying to go to the college game day. Well, actually, I'm trying to go to the 6:30 slate because the 6:30 slate looks like actually really good. There's a lot of good 6:30 games. Starting with okay, so yeah, this one also a lot of people would think this is not like a good game, but this starting at 6:30 on ESPN2, Arizona State and Mississippi State. I mean, Mississippi State looked solid against the Southern Miss team who is bringing in a new coach, but Southern Miss, I expected a lot more. I mean, a lot of people had Southern Miss beating Mississippi State in their predictions to start the season. Mississippi State really did shine. Blake Shapen looked really good in that matchup against Southern Miss in Hattiesburg. And you're bringing in an Arizona State team who has not played an SEC team besides Texas, and they haven't played at an SEC team's home field. So this game could be really good at 6:30 between Arizona State and Mississippi State. And if Mississippi State wins this game, then my opinion about the Bulldogs this year could change the way I feel depending whether or not how close it is or how much they could possibly win by. But I'm going to take the Sun Devils here. But I'm going to say they win in a close one. I'm going to say the atmosphere is definitely going to get to them a little bit, but I'm going to say they're going to win in a close one. But we will see. That's 6:30 this upcoming Saturday. So yeah, um, this could be a big game between two out of conference opponents. And then obviously going to the next game on ABC, it's 6:30. College game day game between number 18 Oklahoma and number 15 Michigan. This game has a lot of expectations. I mean, like, what is Bryce Underwood going to be like under pressure on the road? What is John Mateer going to be like at home against a top 15 program in Michigan? Oklahoma is favored by 5.5 in this game, but hear me out. I mean, this could be big here for Michigan and Oklahoma both. I mean, some big expectations because we know Brent Venables in the past has been horrible at winning big games. So if Oklahoma's able to get this big game won, I think Oklahoma definitely is going to have a great season in front of them, especially with the way if John Mateer plays as good as he did against the community college they played. I think Oklahoma will have a pretty good season this year. But yeah, I'm gonna take Michigan in my opinion because it's just I feel like Bryce Underwood he's gonna be okay in the first half, but I think in the second half that's when he's gonna really shine and come out of his shell a little bit and be able to throw the ball a little bit more. And I think Bryce Underwood's gonna be able to get the job done. But I'm gonna take Michigan in a close one on the road here. And then the last game of the night that I wanna highlight before we move on to NFL is going to be Vanderbilt and Virginia Tech. I know Virginia Tech did drop one to South Carolina on Sunday, but Vanderbilt, I mean, they last year they pulled off the upset week one, and this game 6:30 on ACC Network. This could be a big game too because it's in Lane Stadium, first home game for Virginia Tech, and I'm really interested to see. I have Vanderbilt as a 7-5 team this year, and I want to see if Vanderbilt can get the job done on the road because that could change some things about my predictions for them as well. But yes, that game is at 6:30. But I'm going to take the Commodores here. I'm going to say they win in a close one. But yeah, I definitely feel like this matchup could be upset potential or Vanderbilt just cruises to an easy victory. But yeah, we'll see at 6:30 on ACC Network on Saturday night. But that's going to do it for week two college football. Obviously, next week we'll be back with week three. But now, we are going to get into NFL. I know a lot of people have been waiting for NFL to come back. I did my fantasy draft yesterday, so I'm excited. I'm really excited to see how my Carolina Panthers do this year. Hopefully, hopefully a playoff appearance. I don't know. That's a big stretch, but we'll see. Um, and yeah, this Thursday, I mean, starting it off, we got the Cowboys and Eagles. Um, I mean, just man, it feels good to be back. NFL does. Um, and honestly, you know, I think this upcoming year, it's going to be different. I think you're going to see your big contenders kind of be a little bit. They're going to win a little bit less games than they did last year. I think. I think you'll see like 13 wins for like it's probably the most you'll have this year for the like best team. I feel like this year's going to be a lot of back and forth, just winning and losing by different teams. And yeah, I definitely feel like this Thursday is a big game too for the Cowboys because you lose Micah Parsons, and what do you do now without Micah Parsons on your defense if you're Dallas? I mean, the Eagles are favored by 8.5 in this one, and it's in Philly, so I do think Philly will be able to get the job done on Thursday night. But yeah, I'm really interested to see like the new offense, George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. But I think this Cowboys team, I think the Cowboys team will be good, but I don't know how good. Like I just got to see how the season progresses to see what unfolds. But I definitely have the Eagles winning that one on Thursday night, and then Friday night we have a game as well. The Chiefs and Chargers. That's a divisional game, and that's in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So that game is on YouTube TV. And yeah, I'm really excited to see. the runner-up of last year's Super Bowl, and also the Chargers. I mean, the Chargers have a great team: Justin Herbert, Lad McConkey, J.K. Dobbins, Keenan Allen's back now. So this Chargers team has some weapons on their team. So I think the Chargers could possibly get the job done against the Chiefs. In my opinion, I don't think the Chiefs are going to be as good as they've been in the past this season, but that's just my opinion personally. So we'll see. Maybe Mahomes will work some of his magic, but I think this is definitely Travis Kelce's last year. Like I definitely think that's where Mahomes is going to struggle without Kelsey. I think you won't really have any weapons on that Chiefs team anymore. But yeah, just looking at some big games. You have Baltimore and Buffalo on NBC for Sunday Night Football. And that's really going to be a big game too. Buffalo, in my opinion, I think Buffalo could be the Super Bowl champion this year. Depending on how the season goes and everything like that. NFL's a long season, so we're not going to get much into it this week. But we'll get into it a lot more next week. We're not going to really talk about the games anymore for this week. I think we're just going to end this episode, and we're gonna recap at what happened this weekend next week. And yeah, that's gonna do it for episode 19 of the Halftime Sports Talk Show. It was a great week of college football. I'm so glad we have football back again. It's just that time of the year, and I'm just so hyped to see my teams, Auburn and the Panthers, see what they can do this upcoming seasons. And I'm really excited to keep filming some episodes. But yeah, don't forget to follow us on Twitter. We need some more on Twitter, YouTube. Let's keep it going, guys. Just don't forget to like and subscribe. We're also on TikTok, Instagram, and Spotify. A lot of people forget about the Spotify, but we're on there as well. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and a great weekend. You guys stay safe out there while watching football. I know some of y'all probably tailgating and stuff, but yeah. I will see you guys again